those are powerful words.
Well, a lot of people have been waiting to hear what would happen in this presentation. From what we hear, it's a very moving presentation that is obviously from his home. It's a made-for-TV presentation. When they stand, when they hold signs, when they change signs out, the behind the scenes as the speakers are coming on, the teleprompter even. All of those things you get to see. And at home, this is intended to be able to bring this to you in such a way that it influences you. That when you finish watching this, you are so inspired that you've got to run out and vote right away.
And guess what? Delaware, up until yesterday, was in the back of the room. Delaware now is in the front of the room. Right. I wonder why. That is Joe Biden, and that's what you mean by TV.
That's the kind of stuff you say.
Poor little Delaware with whatever little 3 or 4 votes
small
they had.
wonder. Yeah,
that's right. Now they're up front in the convention, but it's unlike it used to be, man. You know what I used to really enjoy with all the crazy costumes.
Oh yeah.
Because it's really everyday. Everyday people. I mean, some of them are half drunk out of their minds from partying all night.
They do party. Let me tell you,
Republicans do too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, Joe, tell me about those yesterdays. I mean, what was that about?
I remember the convention. I was at the '68 convention. Now outside, but we were demonstrating. You'll have demonstrations if you notice, Art. They don't cover demonstrations the way they used to. Networks. I was surprised when we learned that the networks were only going to dedicate an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, they dedicated more time to volleyball.
They did.
Than they will to this convention. Those are the differences. And you used to have fights. I mean, platform fights where this issue and that issue, and a vote would go on and on and on.
Now they try to keep those fights in the background.
That's
so that you don't get to see it. I said this earlier. There's a guy outside who's holding the sign that says the Democrats are not united and Joe Biden can't help. You won't see that sign in here because they will
won't see it on TV,
and you will not see it on TV.
Yeah. But I got it. I will say this though. It is a party. I mean, that's what people need to understand. This is a party. This is united. They've got to make it look like everybody's together because right behind this comes the Republicans in Minneapolis.
Right. But is this a turning point in politics? I mean, with diversity, with Obama, with what we're seeing, even with the choosing of Biden, is this a turning point of what we may see in the next 4 years?
Well, there are 2 parts to that, and I'll take it first, Joe. There's been a lot said that could this be the end of black politics? And I've talked to a lot of people about that, spoke with the president of the NAACP in Philadelphia about that. He says absolutely not, because black people, just like everybody else, will still have issues. There'll still be poverty, there'll still be unemployment, and there'll still core concerns that affect black folk, and Barack Obama being elected president won't make all of that go away. That's the first thing. In terms of the Democratic Party, in terms of a new day, I think it is a new day for the Democratic Party. I think the primary season showed us that. The fact that we had as the 2 front runners a black man and a woman, and that they were so overwhelmingly received all across this country, I think that it definitely signals in a new day.
I got to tell you, the most moving thing was ever told to me was an older black woman who bought 2 Obama buttons. One was for her, and the other she was taking to the grave of her husband.
Wow, that is deep.
I mean, that's how this Obama nomination has impacted people. I totally agree with you. This is not the end of black politics. Black politicians are everything from ministers to constituent servers. I mean, they still have to be anti-establishment. Now, let's keep something in mind. Obama, yes, historically will be the first black man nominated by a major party. He very well may be the first black to be president of the United States. But, make no doubt about it, he will be president and leader of the free world.
Absolutely.
President and leader of the free world. And so he won't be Mr. Anti-Establishment. We'll still have to depend on the Charlie Rangels and the John Conyers and the Maxine Waters to speak our positions, and there may come a time that they may have to take on the black president. It's just that way.
And would that be any more unusual than the way life is run in general in society, in black communities, in churches, and with elected officials? And so
it's historic. It's eerie that it's the same date that King spoke, "I have a dream." It's also really eerie that it's the same day that Emmett Till was killed. It's 100 years after the Democratic Party refused to accept women right to vote and
black Republicans
and it was
who wanted to come to the Democratic Party.
That's right, and the same day that they refused to accept the civil rights platform or plank. Right, and matter of fact, right here in Denver. So it's been 100 years since they've been.
Let's talk. I'll let you guys go. Let's talk about media.
About what?
Media. Senior statement, black media. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I got it too.
I'm sorry, real quickly about. I mean, you're a senior statesman and in terms of the media leader. I mean, are we seeing change? There's TV One, Radio One, syndicated one. There's been extreme concerns about the participation of media, or black media in particular. What needs to be done here? I mean, what are we seeing there?
Well, I'll go with this one first. What really needs to be done, particularly in this campaign, is that I think something's seriously wrong when 4 middle-aged, middle-class white men are the ones that will be answering or asking the questions at the debates that are being held. If you'd have told me, and I remember when art first started, we were extremely proud when we saw an Art Fennell and a Max Robinson and a Carol Simpson and that class of people who were making their way into mainstream media. Jonathan Rogers was behind the scenes. And if you'd have told me 30 plus years later that we would not have a single black primetime anchor on any of the network stations, I would have said you're crazy, because we were headed in that direction. But you know what? It's now about ownership. So I know there's a lot of criticism that TV One is doing this and not the Republican convention. Well, look, first off, TV One is not a news channel. And we are here because we're documenting history. This is for generations to come. And we're the first drafters of this very historic moment. And I'm just proud to be next to Art. He represents what media should really be about.
I'm proud to be next to Joe, and we're in the fan club together. But, you have to make your own place, and I think TV One is doing that by the way that it's covering this convention, because it represents a new day in coverage. And there's still miles to go before we sleep in terms of the mainstream media and how they represent America, or their lack of representation of diversity. But that is not the cure-all. There are other outlets now, and many more emerging outlets, where people are finding their platform and having their say, and I'm glad that's happening.
And you know what? You also are seeing more black folk on these talk stations.
Yes.
Now they used to only call us when it was quote unquote a black issue. Now we get called for international issues. That's the Condoleezza Rice influence. That's the Colin Powell influence. We now get called as it relates to national security. We now get called as it relates to taxes, economics. And so it's just a matter of continuing what we've started, and let's hope that after November we'll still get these calls, because our opinions are just as important as anybody else's.
Well, I don't know. After they finish watching our coverage and the way we're going to cover this, that's going to change right there.
Why didn't we think of that?